Welcome to my cave. Did I build a fort just for this video? Yes. Do I live here now? Yes. Hey guys, I'm Ava and this is WWM Productions. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay. If you do, make sure to click that like button and subscribe. And if you're returning, thank you so much. We love having you. So I, as you may know, like to consider myself a pro binge watcher. Whether it's a show that's brand new to me or I have seen it a million times, I have a tendency to finish it as fast as humanly possible. I thought I would use this week's video as an opportunity to share with you the list of shows that I have watched or rewatched over the past 6-ish months. I don't want this video to last a lifetime, so I've limited it to the top 15 most memorable, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will describe a little bit about each show and say whether or not I would recommend it. This video is going to basically be a recommendation dump. It's a lot less formal than some of the other videos I've done, and I hope you like it. I thought I would do a video of me just talking with the camera in a fort. So I hope you enjoy. And with all that said, let's get into the list. First on my list, and it's probably pretty expected seeing as the entire universe seems to be watching this show, is Bridgerton. Bridgerton has one season on Netflix so far. And it's a fairly recent release. It's a period drama about like the whole courting process, and you know there are a lot of like fancy balls and British accents, and I think the main thing that caught everybody's attention was like the outfits. I personally don't like to think of this as like being in our same universe because it's not really historically accurate. But also I'm not a history buff, so I'm not the end-all be-all authority on whether something is historically accurate. But I did like the story. I think the acting was pretty well done, and one of the things that I was most attracted to with this story is that they have compelling supporting character arcs, which I think is something that a lot of people forget about fairly frequently. Like they just kind of put a bunch of stereotypes and archetypes and stuff as the supporting cast to make their main character look good. And then in this one, while Daphne is like the main character, you know, you have the side story arcs of like Eloise and Penelope and Marina, and they're all like thought out and they're good. And yeah. So I would totally recommend Bridgerton if you are into anything British or period drama, or romancy, all of that stuff. Definitely would recommend. Now, the next one is a very recent addition to the Netflix roster of original series, and that is Fate: The Winx Saga. Now, this show has one season on Netflix, and if I were to describe it as like one thing, like one genre, I would say it is a very traditional young adult-esque story. Like when I was first watching it, I immediately, instinctually thought it was based off a book. I never would have thought that it was based off of the original Winx Club cartoon. It's girl discovers she has magical powers, goes to a fancy school for magical powers, and then she learns that she is actually the most powerful with those powers, and it's basically Harry Potter, but meets Tinkerbell, maybe, because they're all fairies? I don't know. My main sticking point with this show is that the acting in some parts was really bland. Like there were these characters who were supposed to be talking about these like heavy topics, and that they'd be delivering their lines like so stagnantly, I guess. And I don't know, it didn't capture my attention very well, and that was disappointing. Now I would maybe recommend this show if you're into that whole Harry Potter young adult genre and you really like fantasy stuff. This is probably a show that you would enjoy. If you like that kind of stereotypical young adult female heroine archetype, then you'll probably like Bloom, the main character. It's not profound. It's not incredible. It's just kind of meh. And if you're into that kind of stuff, it's okay for what it is. But like honestly, I feel like you're kind of better off just like watching Harry Potter. Then I watched The Boys. Now The Boys, there's 2 seasons and it's on Amazon Prime. It's not actually on Netflix, because I am diverse. This show, it really surprised me. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, but it's a really cool concept. So like it's basically take Game of Thrones, but then instead of dragons and sword fighting, it's superheroes and capitalism. There is this company, Vought, who owns superheroes, essentially. There's a lot of corruption and action, and like I said with Bridgerton, it has really good arcs for all of the characters, and the acting too that goes along with it is really good. It's also really funny, way funnier than I expected it to be. I mean, content warning for gore and language and other stuff, but if you are a mature viewer, I'm sure you would enjoy this show, and I would definitely recommend it. Next is another show that I very much enjoy to binge watch is Survivor. Survivor has 40 seasons. There are 2 of them on Netflix. I think they're also on Hulu, and I think you can also get them on Amazon. On Netflix, they have 2 seasons. They have Cagayan, and then they have Heroes vs. Villains, both very good seasons. The thing I love about Survivor is because there are so many seasons, you never really run out of stuff, even when you like absorb TV content as fast as I do. Every season is consistent content without being repetitive. So you know what you get what you're expecting to, and you get what you want. You come for Survivor content, and that's what you receive. But it's not boring because they always put like different spins on it and they change them. And yeah, they always find another way to make it interesting, and I think that's really, really good. Survivor can also be like thoughtful entertainment or mindless entertainment. So depending on what kind of show you're looking to watch, like I know reality TV often seems like something that you're just like, oh, I would never want to watch that, it's just like, it's so stupid. But Survivor, like you can really analyze the strategy, or you can think like, oh, what would I do in this situation? And you can like root for people. But then if you just want to like play something in the background or just watch something without thinking, it also works for that. It also has like really awesome challenges. Like every challenge, it seems like really scary and really difficult watching it, but it also seems like something so fun, and it kind of just like, I don't know, it makes you just want to be part of the show. I mean, every time I have watched this show, I always think, oh, I really wish I was on Survivor. But then there's the other part of me that's like, ew, Ava, you would never want to do that. It's great, and you can find yourself just like wanting to be part of the action, which I think is awesome. Next is the Great British Baking Show. This has 11 seasons, but I think only 8 of them are on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. Now, this show is just great because of all of the cute Britishy goodness. I feel like you can't really top that. If you are on a diet, I do not recommend this show because it makes you both want to bake and want to eat. Like, every time I go through a baking phase, I am rewatching this show, and it's like, it's probably not healthy. It's probably one of my least healthy binge watches on this list, but that doesn't mean it's not good for you to watch. It's very wholesome content, and it's really cute and fun and awesome, and yeah, so I would definitely recommend Great British Baking Show. By the way, if you already watch Great British Baking Show and you want to leave your favorite baker in the comment section below, same goes for like Survivor, your favorite Survivor, or any of these shows, just like tell me who your favorite characters are if you've watched any of them. Yeah. Next is The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which ended recently. It has 4 seasons on Netflix, and I would recommend it, depending on your taste in demonic stuff. It sort of centers on this whole coming of age story and this like young adult type thing, but unlike Fate: The Winx Saga, Sabrina really breaks from the mold in different ways. I mean, a big part of it is because of the demonic stuff, but we don't that's hardly a problem. The cast is great. Everybody is charismatic and knows the character well, and the characters, they all have their own really good supporting arcs, so I think that's the best thing you can do when you have a big cast of characters. The only problem I had with Sabrina was like the very end of the show. It was kind of like, but can't tell you about that because that's a spoiler. Now, I binge watched Are You the One on Netflix. They only have 2 seasons on Netflix, but there are 8 total, and I figured it would be best for my intellectual health, I guess, to not seek out those other 6 seasons of the show. Now, it's reality TV, like, at its finest. It's very dramatic, but, like, drama. It is definitely what I would consider mindless entertainment. You don't need to think when you're watching it. You just need to be like, oh my god, are they gonna fall in love? Because the whole premise of the show, it's like they take a bunch of people who are bad at relationships and then they put them together, and theoretically they have a scientifically perfect match in the house and they need to figure out who it is. And, you know, the stakes are high and there's like a big dynamic of different kinds of people, and it's honestly, like, the concept is cool. It's just the people can be stupid, and I mean, yeah, it's reality TV. I mean, people are always stupid on those shows. So if you're into reality TV, I would say check it out. If you're not, or you're not into romantic reality TV, you probably wouldn't like it. So yeah, if you're a TV connoisseur, probably don't want to watch this one because your taste is too good. But if you just want something to watch just randomly, and you just need something to fill the time, go for it. It's great. Now, I also binge watched The Queen's Gambit. I'm not going to talk as much about this because I did an entire video on this show, which, check it out. But yeah, it's got a good aesthetic, it's got a great cast, great characters. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Now, next on my list is Sherlock. Sherlock has 4 seasons on Netflix, and I would highly recommend them. Sherlock has an amazing aesthetic to the entire show. It's like, you know, everybody's been talking about like the Bridgerton aesthetic, but I vibe so hard with the Sherlock aesthetic. It's like the kind of rainy streets of London, and mysteries are being solved, and there's a murderer on the loose and stuff. I don't know. I love it. The story is great. It's very complicated, so you need to pay attention, but when you do pay attention, it's like, because there's so many twists and turns, and I mean it's about Sherlock Holmes. Like, you can't get more complicated than that. It does a great job with character development in both Sherlock himself and John Watson, and it, you know, just watching them unravel mysteries and the way that they have dealt with that, and the way it sort of intertwines with their characters and how their characters work off each other. It's really, really special, and I definitely highly recommend it. Another great show that I watched was Medici. Medici has 3 seasons, but it's kind of broken up into 2 different storylines. They have Medici Masters of Florence, which is my favorite, but it's only 1 season. And then they have Medici the Magnificent, which is 2 seasons. Masters of Florence is about Cosimo de' Medici, and then Medici the Magnificent is about Lorenzo de' Medici, or Lorenzo the Magnificent. Obviously, it's telling the story of the Medici family, which was a banking family in, like, Renaissance age Italy. It's got a great cast, except both of the different kind of stories that it tells have, like, basically completely different casts. So, you know, you have Masters of Florence cast, and then you have the Magnificent cast, and there's not really much overlap except for, like, 1 character. And then even with Medici the Magnificent, season 1 and 2 of that, there is a big overturn of cast members because there's a lot of time pass. So yeah, the timeline of it can get a little confusing because it does go quickly, but hey, it's great. Just try to pay attention, and it's not that difficult to connect the dots. Eventually it'll make sense, and if it doesn't, you can always rewatch it like I do. It's not wholly historically accurate, but it is entertaining in that way, and the period that it's set in is personally my favorite, like, period drama aesthetic. I love Renaissance age Italy. I feel like a lot of period dramas are always set in, like, England or something, in, like, the ball area, or time period, I guess. And then this one is centered around kind of the economics of old Italy, and I think it's really cool. It also stars Richard Madden, who is pretty cool. You might know him from Game of Thrones, he was Robb Stark, or you might know him from, he was in Rocket Man, he was the producer. And another thing you might know him from, and another show that I binge watched, is The Bodyguard. Or maybe it's just Bodyguard, I don't know. I know one of them is a movie, and then the other one is the show. And they're very, very different things, and I have not seen the movie. There's 1 season of it on Netflix, and it stars Richard Madden, and he has an incredible performance in this show. It is a very stressful show, and it is also very complicated and has a very complex storyline. But that's to be expected from the story that it is. So it's a political drama, I guess you could say. You know, there's a lot about the government, and you know, because he's the bodyguard for a politician, the Home Secretary, and I believe they're in London or somewhere in the UK, and so he's trying to protect this woman, but she's also very controversial, and people try to, like, you know. But yeah, if you like political or action-packed drama, or just any, like, Britishness too, that's fun, that's there. But just in general, I would highly recommend this show to anybody who just wants a good show to watch, I guess. Another show I rewatched recently is Degrassi Next Class. Now, I watched this show for the first time years ago, and it is a very frequent rewatcher for me. It's got 4 seasons on Netflix, and it's really great. So if you're trying to watch a teen-centered show, it is really good at tackling difficult topics and not shying away from anything. And, you know, they talk about a lot of things, and these characters go through so many different problems that actual teenagers face, which I feel like isn't super common for most teen shows. Like, they'll talk about issues that teens face, but they'll kind of gloss over them. Or, you know, the main problem that the main character will face is, oh, I don't know what dress to wear for homecoming, and I don't think I'm gonna get a date because Ricky is over there looking at Emily instead of me. Oh, what am I to do? You know, there's a lot of stuff like that, but then this one, it deals with depression, anxiety, substance abuse, teen pregnancy and abortion and everything. And yeah, I think it's really a good show to check out. It's definitely geared toward younger people, but I think if you are a younger person, it's definitely a good show to watch. I mean, every once in a while it can get kind of cheesy, but it's very minimal compared to a lot of other shows that are like high school centric. And the cast of characters, like there's usually somebody that you can find that you relate to. Even if it's multiple different people in multiple different ways, it's a good blend, and I think that's it's really well done. So I would definitely recommend it. Now, this next one is a show that I have watched 7 times, and I would not recommend it to anybody with like actual taste. But it's called Between, and it has 2 seasons on Netflix. It has a good concept, but the acting is like really bad. And you know, there were some things that the story just tried to execute that really failed. But also, it's like, I can't stop watching it. So basically, the concept is it's this town in which a sort of biological weapon or a weaponized virus kind of is released in the town that kills everybody once they're over 22 years old. Which, I mean, that poses the problem when they decide that they want a character who acts like a 27-year-old. I mean, it's not good, but it's so good. So, I would not recommend it to you, but if you decide that you want to watch it on your own accord and you decide that you love it, that you can comment that down below and tell me all about your favorite characters and everything, and I'd love to talk to you. If you decide that you hate it, I didn't recommend it to you. Now next we have Marvel's Runaways. This one is on Disney Plus. It has 3 seasons, and it's centered around the Runaways comics. It's about these kids who find out their parents are like in a cult or something, and then they run away, and some of them have superpowers, and it's about them kind of like living on the streets, sort of, but they're not on the streets because they kind of discover their own like mansion. But it's basically just a bunch of teenage superheroes that run away from their parents, but there's also aliens involved, and they also like solve mysteries and stuff. It's technically part of the MCU, but it really doesn't feel like the MCU, and I think the only way that it kind of connects is that one character mentions the name Wakanda one time in one sentence of one episode. A lot of the characters are annoying. Sometimes the characters are supposed to have chemistry, and they don't, particularly between 2 certain love interests. But the kind of superhero drama aspect of it and the whole runaway children thing, it's pretty unique, and I think it was okay. It's kind of well done. If you're really into superheroes, you might want to watch it. If you're not into superheroes, it's probably not worth it for you. But yeah. The next show is Daybreak. Daybreak has 1 season on Netflix, and I would probably recommend it. So this is like your zombie drama, except instead of being super serious about the zombies, it's actually really funny. I think it's a very interesting concept. It turned all the adults into zombies, and then so now the kids are running amok, and it tackles that whole like kids are running things a lot better than Between did, as I mentioned before. I really wish that the show wasn't canceled, but unfortunately it was. It's just, it did the whole zombie thing in a way that a lot of other shows have never done, and I mean, zombies have been done. So like, to see someone take like a new concept of it is great. Also, the guy who played Ferris Bueller is there. He's pretty cool. Ferris Bueller's Day Off in Zombieland. That's fun. If you're in the mood for a comedy type zombie drama show, I would definitely recommend it. Also, if you like Supernatural, the main character plays Baby Sam, who's pretty cool. Not to mention there is a name gag reference to Supernatural that you might pick up on. If you don't pick up on it, then are you really a Supernatural fan? Anyways, that's all I had for this list today. Trust me, these 15 shows are not the only ones that I have binge watched or rewatched recently, so if you want another episode of this, like you want me to sit in a fort and talk to you about some shows that I watched, then definitely leave that in the comments below. Also, if you want one for movies, I can do that too. Anyways, guys, if you like this video, leave a like. If you vibe with anything that I said, leave a comment. I would love to talk to you about any of these shows. And make sure to check out the WWM Productions podcast, We Watch Movies. We post a new episode here on YouTube every Wednesday. It is also on Spotify and a bunch of other platforms, and I will leave the links in the description box below. We also post a new video here on the channel every weekend, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And subscribe and click the little bell icon so you don't miss any of that good stuff. Anyways, that's all for this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye! Hi, buddy. You look massive, buddy.